don't you wish that developer experience was better? Don't you wish that it was more fun? Because everything could be made more fun, and isn't that the spirit of Web3? If you ask me, I will say yes. And the next person, the next speaker that I'm about to introduce to you is one of the most creative, analytical, fun people you will ever meet. But because that is not enough of an introduction, I will actually read her official bio because she has been up to quite a lot. Our next speaker is the co-founder of the Web3 UX user panel and the head of the design research for Threshold Network and TBTC. In the past, she has served as the head of design at Alethio, Consensus, and that is an Ethereum data analytics platform, and Selfkey, a self-sovereign identity wallet. That is a lot of talk. That is a lot of technical jargon. So without further ado, I give to you Sasha Tanase Luca. Give it up for Sasha. Welcome on stage, Sasha.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. First of all, I'd like to start by saying that after 5 years of speaking at Ethereum conferences, being on the stage of an Ethereum conference in my hometown is a dream come true. So, hello. I'm, not working? Not working. Can anyone help me with the thingy? It's not working. It's no problem. We're always used to this when we're doing studies and research. Every time we have a technical problem. Perfect, now it works. From here it doesn't. Okay, woo! Yeah! So on this high note, let me introduce myself. I'm Sasha Tanase Luca. I'm a product designer and a researcher. I am one of the co-founders of the Web3 UX user research panel, and I am leading UX and design research for the Threshold Network, formerly known as Keep Network and NewCipher, and I am part of the core team building TBTC, the first fully decentralized Bitcoin on Ethereum bridge. I like to say about my job that is to transform extremely complex products into palatable bits, but jokes aside, I translate from dev to human. Okay. So today's talk is an onboarding to the DX and evangelist concepts, and it's supposed to spark curiosity. It's not a step-by-step guide. However, it provides some best practices. And this talk should be helpful to anyone who is building developer-facing products in Web3, like this can be new L2s, blockchains, networks, dev tools, integratable protocols, whatnot. Developer experience is the equivalent of user experience when the primary user of the product is the developer. A developer is a highly technical persona. Sometimes this might become an excuse for having overly complicated user journeys, which lead usually to a traumatic experience. Now, please, let's shake hands with the shadowy, super mythical creature that we all heard about, but we never met. The almighty developer wearing the power user cloak. He knows everything and can read minds, so he never needs explanations. So, jokes aside, due to the fact that developers are more of a technical persona, the product's UX owners end up considering developers as power users. Power user, however, is a deceitful term that makes you forget that developers are normal users too, and they will appreciate and benefit from simple solutions just like everybody else. let them understand a few things first. They have the potential to become a power users, but they are not power users from the start. So present them with a tool, an SDK, give them a library. It takes time. So in order to build a developer-centric product, you need to make sure that your product is taking into account the following: developer needs, best practices, and user experience. So you will say, well, Sasha, why are we talking about DX in Web3? Well, first of all, we need to remember that developers are at the core of our ecosystem user base. And Ethereum consistently attracts 20 to 25% of new developers coming to Web3. And this means Ethereum is onboarding more developers, and the need for straightforward processes may be higher than ever. A positive DX can increase adoption and retention, and the growth of a chain's developer community. So this is GitHub's formula of DX. It takes into account productivity, which means how simply or quickly a change can be made, and the ease of use in the implemented code, plus impact, how frictionless is to move IDEA in production, satisfaction, how the environment, workflows, and tools affect developers' happiness, multiplied across by collaboration equals developer experience. So over time in Web3, we kept saying that UX is the problem, and this is stopping blockchain adoption. But then we realized that the users, most of the time, are other developers. And thus, it's important to learn how to onboard and improve the developer's experience. Now, there are a number of areas where DX is relevant and can have a huge impact on Web3. And I would like to tell you a bit about them. So we have the SDKs, which provide abstractions on top of smart contracts or complex systems that allow developers to build something on top. So for example, it's just like they can build something on top without actually knowing the entire technology. And for example, you have Uniswaps, the swaps, everyone can integrate it. You have Biconomy, who does account abstraction, or TBTC. You don't have to know threshold cryptography in order to integrate their bridge. Also, smart contracts. Lots of projects don't have the resources to build SDKs on top. So the design they initially make matters more than originally intended. Blockchains, how do you integrate, build, query the chain? Web widgets, small pieces of a website that live within the application. And the effort supporting the user should be right from the start, instead of after you realize that you failed with your product. So I made this diagram of the developer journey inspired by the Design Council's double diamond methodology, but this is adapted for DX. So developer journeys are often more complex and longer. They require continuous interaction and repetition with the product in comparison with other user journeys. Like, let's take, for example, the journey of a user who sets up a wallet. It's a one-off. They don't need to go back. It doesn't matter. If it's super frictionless, they take it once for the team, and that's it. It's OK. But developer journeys are different because they're recurring, and you have to go over and over and over again through the same pain. They are more complex as other factors, such as requirement changes may appear, or dependencies on other developers, tools, protocols change, cause deviation from a set path. So, however seamlessly as this may look, the developer journey will be scattered with friction points. So let's take this example. You are building a new tech for bridges. You want different protocols to integrate your tech. And the first thing you need to do is to identify the possible friction points and the several external and internal touch points where the developers are going to interact with multiple aspects of your product. So this map is actually helping you identify the diversity of roles at each touch point, and this can help optimize, improve, and create a better overall developer experience. Okay, so we all know teamwork makes the dream work. Same in DX. Good DX, just like good UX, is not the job of a sole individual. It's a team effort where the outcome of having a good experience is embedded in the entire company culture. So let's take a look at the roles that DX and DevRel are out there. I'm going to talk about only 3 of them. We have the technical writer. This is a very important role. Their job involves creating, updating, maintaining, and putting together, read-proofing the technical processes and documentation of services. They also do editing, quality assurance, and they collab closely with engineers, product managers, UX designers, support, and they are always continuously updating and improving the docs. Now we also have the UX designers and researchers. This role is also crucial for the DX team because they have the knowledge to design good flows, they know how to measure the success, and implement feedback loops. So bringing the vast UX knowledge and the vast UX methodology to the table, they can apply qualitative and quantitative methods to harness information that can feed back into the development process, and this will lead to refined journeys and improved DX. Now, some methods that I can bet my life on are diary studies. In my entire experience, they turned out to be the most holistic type of testing, and they replaced the clunky lab tests. Remote interviews, remote usability studies, guerrilla-tested conferences. I least recommend that, but you can still do it. Dog fooding, this is also super important, and analytics on your documentation. There is another crucial role here that I would like to talk about. It's the DevRel or Devangelist, this is how I like to call it. This role is at the intersection of software development, marketing, and community engagement. This person, or group of humans, are basically the human interface, the UI of your product, so to say. Their role is to create POCs, educate, and advocate for the product at meetups, conferences, hackathons, whatever. Their goal includes raising awareness and creating and fostering relationships between a company and its technical audience. And they are also the perfect link between the product and they can harness insights directly from the spot from developers. And I will show you like the synergy they need to have. Okay, so DX and DevRel or Devangelist are often mentioned in similar contexts, so there is a need to understand that there is a difference between these two. Since the DevRel team interacts directly with the developer community, it forms the human component of DX. There is an overlap between the two, but they are not the same. So DX involves making the product better in its entirety, and DevRel is about taking the DX to the community. Effective DevRel engineers convey empathy towards developer needs, gather feedback and insights, which the product team will feed back into the experience to make it awesome. But there is no good DX without good DevRel, and no charismatic DevRel without the backing of amazing DX. Now, if you want to implement great DX inside your company, I advise you to delve deeper into this guideline that Daniel, Luca, and myself put together last year. It stands for good documentation, robustness, error handling, accessibility, and testability. And when you're going home and you're thinking of this talk, if you will, think about it, I would like you to remember these things. DX is UX for developers. DX is a team effort and not the responsibility of only one person. Exceptional DX is the synergy between the DX team and the evangelist or DevRel team. And whenever you want to implement DX at home or at your job, you can look into the great DX framework and learn more. Now, if you want to fight the good fight alongside with me and make Web3 a better place for everyone, you can enroll and participate in paid UX and DX studies with Web3 UX. Shameless plug. And here I put together a list of DX resources. The first two links here are with two amazing applied DX research, so you can check out the Eden Block Mina research, and you can also check out the Threshold Network TBTC client code diary study. They're very well put together, and you can actually learn how to do that yourself. And if you want to talk more about DX, you can hit me up on Twitter. If you want to have the slides, you can just scan the QR code and you will have the deck. And don't forget to love your users, even if they're developers. Thank you. I think we have some time for questions, if there are any. Oh, cool. Everything is clear. Lovely. Thank you. You do? OK.
Question?
What kind of mistakes do you commonly see when people try to implement good DX experience?
Oh, first of all, the first mistake is that nobody thinks of DX. This is like the most horrible sin that dev tool or dev-facing product can think of. Another mistake that I've seen was poor documentation that is not giving the user a step-by-step guide. They never go through it. Or taking a step back and trying to understand. It's very hard if you just stay on it. You forget that other people don't have the entire information. And I think another part is the error handling. A lot of the errors that developers get are non-verbose and not helpful, and they won't tell you anything on how to troubleshoot and go from there. So developers get an error and then they're stuck. So these are some of the ones that I came into. Yeah.
Do you think there is a culture of appreciating feedback? For example, when developers get stuck or they don't find something in documentation and they give feedback, this should be better or not. Do you think like teams appreciate this usually? Like I have a feeling that sometimes they take it personally and like it's your fault that you're not finding the information and stuff like that. How do you like see this?
That's like the worst thing that you can do, to blame the user for not getting what they have to do. I think this is why DX and feedback loops should be implemented by people who don't put together the code. Like, leave it to UX designers who aren't emotionally attached to the product. Leave it to researchers who aren't emotionally attached to the product. For technical writers or evangelists, again, they're not anchored there. And I think it's also super important, like if you're in an open source environment, I think people have already done a lot for you, because open source communities are much more familiar with this type of thing, giving feedback, getting feedback, implementing the feedback. So this is super good. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.